pleased to announce the next step forward in our policy of return on success. General Petraeus has just completed a review of the situation in Iraq, and he and the Joint Chiefs of Staff have recommended that we move forward with additional force reductions, and I agree.
For another response to all this talk about a successful surge, Middle East expert Phyllis Bennis from the Institute for Policy Studies had this to say about George Bush's line and Barack Obama's comment that the surge had worked beyond anyone's wildest imagination.
I wish that Barack Obama had a wilder imagination, perhaps. The surge was only one part of the reasons that violence is down, and it's not the most important part. The most important part is because a ceasefire has been in place for months, created by Muqtada al-Sadr. That ceasefire is eminently reversible at any time that Muqtada al-Sadr decides to reverse the ceasefire. Another reason was the creation of these so-called awakening councils. The U.S. touts this as the Sunni population turning against al-Qaeda. Well, what it really means is the U.S. government outbid al-Qaeda for the loyalty of these people. The U.S. now pays each of them $300 a month. There's 100,000 members of this so-called awakening movement. They get a total of $300,000 a month, and they're now supposed to be put under the authority of the so-called government in Iraq, which of course is also controlled by the U.S. occupation authority. But the awakening movement people themselves are not so happy about that because they're not sure they're going to get paid. If they don't get paid, we can be pretty sure they're going to go back to war against the United States. The third reason, perhaps the most horrific, is that the ethnic cleansing that was the real reason, especially in Baghdad, for this huge, horrifying spike in violence in 2006 and 2007 was not arbitrary or random. It had a very clear purpose. The purpose was to end what had long been these very mixed cosmopolitan neighborhoods where Sunni and Shia and Kurds and Turkmens and everybody else all lived together. Sectarian forces moved in and said, we want you out. This is going to be an all-Shia neighborhood. Sunnis out or you'll be killed. This is going to be an all-Sunni neighborhood. Shia out or you'll be killed. And the killing went on and on and on and became a killing field. And then when the ethnic cleansing was largely ended, the killing stopped because they didn't need it anymore. And instead, you now have a Baghdad that is divided into tiny, mini little neighborhoods, mini cantons, divided by walls and checkpoints, living under occupation. And the U.S. says, isn't it great that the violence is down? And the fourth reason was the surge. Yeah, you put 30,000 troops into a small area, you're going to suppress violence. You're also going to suppress normal life. So the real question is going to be, how long does this diminished violence last, and what role is the U.S. playing in making it worse? George Bush has pledged to withdraw 8,000 soldiers by the end of 2009. For those 8,000 soldiers and their families, that is huge. That is the best news anyone could have. But from the vantage point of what is the U.S. occupation in Iraq, it's a drop in a huge bucket. There are about 158,000 troops in Iraq right now. You withdraw 8 of them and you're left with about 150,000 troops. That still means 10,000 more than there were at the beginning of this so-called surge. The U.S. occupation is not ending, and none of the candidates are calling to end it. The peace movement has played a huge role so far in this election. We need a candidate who reflects that need. We need to end the occupation, not just partially, but all of it, and now. For GRITtv, this is Phyllis Bennis.